Hi, welcome back. In this week's video, it is episode 2 of Conversations with Candice, and apparently Zizu talking in the background. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you think of someone else that I should interview, please put in the comments below. Welcome back. Today I have my friend Donalda with me. She is also a fellow MS warrior and an all-around awesome lady. Welcome, Donalda.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yeah, thank you for agreeing to be interviewed. It's much appreciated.
It's a pleasure.
Okay, good. As you know, if you watch my YouTube channel, I do it to raise awareness and basically encourage people. You don't have to be afraid to tell your story and to teach people more about MS and raise awareness. Just tell me, if you feel comfortable, a little bit about your diagnosis story.
No, I'm pretty much an open book, I think. I think the more you share, the more knowledge people get, the less afraid they are to share. I've heard many people say, I don't know who to tell. I tell everybody. Because if you can't spread awareness or educate people to what the disease is. So I was diagnosed in 2009. That sounds right. I was walking down my steps and I had a big house, like one of them tall salt block kind of houses with a gazillion steps in it. And as I came down the steps, my body on the right side all started to go numb, like just completely, like couldn't move my eye, couldn't feel my face. I literally thought I was having a stroke.
Yeah.
So of course I was upset. I went to the emergency room at Dartmouth General. I had worked at Dartmouth. I was working at Dartmouth General as a staffing coordinator there, and I was treated extremely well. And within a matter of days for myself, I was diagnosed with MS. A lot of people take much longer in the process and have a lot of, things that they're told, no, it can't be this, can't be that. I never had that. I went from somebody who was running to somebody who couldn't barely move. And so within a few days of going to the emergency department, I had an MRI. I had optic neuritis. And so this is my worst memory, is them freezing my eyeball. Seeing the needle. He told me what he was doing.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm going to freeze your eye because I need to be able to do what I need to do. Yeah. And even though he told me what he was doing and I braced myself, that still I can see him coming with that. And it's like a nightmare, him coming at me with that needle. Yeah. So that was like the scariest part of the MRI wasn't really anything. Him coming at me with that needle certainly was to intimidate.
Yes, I can imagine. Wow.
I would say don't be scared of it, but at the time I was scared of it. So really for myself, within a few weeks or even days of this episode happening, I knew that there was something terribly wrong. I could barely walk. I could barely talk. I couldn't swallow. So I got very quickly in to see the MS clinic without going to a neurologist first, because the neurologist felt from the symptoms that the doctor in emergency had sent to him, he felt I would benefit from, those good old steroids that we get.
Right.
I had 3 days of steroids, which fixed my feet. And I could walk again and I could talk again but it was really, it was kind of tough. And then trying to make the decision which kind of medication you should take. And when I was diagnosed, there was only 3. They were all injectables. Great. And none of them made you actually feel better. So I started on the medication journey. I don't regret that because I feel that I never want to go back to that first amount of symptoms that I had. So if it does not, it works, a certain percentage of the time, I'm willing to take that risk, but I don't want to take the risk of ever having a flare up as bad as the first one that I
Mhm.
had. So, and luckily, none of my flare ups have been huge. They've all been sort of things that I can, deal with. They're frustrating, but I can deal with it. And so, for the first couple of years, I kind of went into a deep depression.
Mhm.
Um, when my husband and daughter would go to work and school, I would think, how can I get to the bridge?
Mhm.
If I walked out right now, they wouldn't miss me. Like I was I've never been somebody who dealt with depression, so it
Mhm.
was a new thing for me, but it was a very serious thing for me.
Yes.
I was in a very dark place for a very long time.
Mhm.
And I think part of it might have been like they just threw medication at me
Yeah.
because, I would say to my family doctor, well, I'm feeling really like exhausted and down. Well, here, take this antidepressant, take this
Mhm.
antidepressant, and just kept loading me up, but
Yeah.
not helping me figure out how to deal with all of
Right.
that. And so for me, I met Teresa
Mhm.
Denham, and she gave me a hug,
Mhm.
and I broke.
Yeah.
Just that hug from somebody she said, I understand, I have MS too.
Mhm.
And I literally broke.
Yeah.
The tears came. And when I went home, I thought she's had MS for, you know, at that time, probably 20 years,
Yeah.
because it's been that long. And I thought, I can do this. Look at her. She gave me inspiration,
Mhm.
like, so that if she's had MS this long and she's still walking around and she's out here volunteering, I'm a smart girl. I miss being around people.
Yeah.
I miss helping people. That was that part of my job I loved to do
Mhm.
was people. And so then
Yeah.
I started volunteering.
Yeah.
So that kind of covers all of it, really. But the
Yeah.
depression was really hard, and it was really hard to get people to recognize that was a serious complication of it.
Yeah.
And I had never suffered. I'd gone through a lot of crap in my life,
Yeah.
but I had never really suffered from bone crushing depression, which I feel
Right.
that was. And I'm so glad it's over. I'm so
Yeah.
glad I was able to break that dam, because it really was
Yeah.
horrible.
And that's good. And I'm glad you
Yeah.
did. And I find it really unfortunate that at that time they're just like, here's more pills, have more pills, rather than here is this psychologist who deals with people with chronic illnesses, or here is this any psychologist. Why don't you go talk to them?
Or here's a support group that's
Or
in place,
here's a support group. Why don't you
because
go
I didn't
talk to
even
other
hear
people
that.
who deal
Yeah.
with the same things?
Yeah. And had I not met Teresa at a fair that I went to, I
Yeah.
probably would have, I don't know where I really don't know where I would have been, because I was
Right.
very depressed.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
And
glad that you're out of that now. I can tell you that.
yeah, I am
And
out
I'm
of it.
glad that you didn't take the step to go jump off that bridge. And your family is definitely, I don't know them very well, but I see what you post in different places, and I met your husband briefly. You would have been very sorely missed. That is definitely for sure. And I don't need to tell you that. You know that now, and you've known that since you had that, since you were going through that.
Yeah, that
So
awakening moment was, for me, it life changed.
yes.
Because I went from a total kind of pity party.
Mm-hmm.
And that I still have them. I
Yeah.
just throw every year. It's very elaborate. Me and myself and I,
Mm-hmm.
we attend and we sort out our problems, and then we
Yep.
get on with the day.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think everybody, you should allow yourself to have a pity party once in a while.
Yeah.
One time I posted on Facebook, and I guess someone didn't understand what the pity party was
Mm-hmm.
and thought, oh, well, you didn't invite me. I didn't invite anybody.
Yeah. This is just me.
Oh,
It's
pity
about
party.
me.
So,
Yeah.
anyway, it's kind of funny. I use humor a lot.
Yeah.
I also make fun of my
Mm-hmm.
symptoms and my things a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't sugarcoat it either. When I fell and smashed my head, and my eyes were blackened,
Mm-hmm.
it took me about a couple of weeks, and I thought, no, I'm putting that out there.
Yeah.
I want people to see that, yes, on a daily basis, I may look like I'm, doing great, but
Mm-hmm.
this is the reality that I live with.
Right.
So when I fell, smacked my head, I still have a lump there, blackened my eyes. And I remember going to Dartmouth General in the doctor I saw said, well, come back if you look like raccoon, because you're fine, like nothing's wrong. So I left. So the next morning I woke up and both eyes like black
Oh,
and just and brown and or purple. They were
oh,
awful. So I went back and the nurse said, so why are you here? I took my glasses off and said, because of this. And she's like, oh my God. And I knew her. And she's like, Donalda, what happened? And I said, well, as much as, I look great all the time, my legs gave out and I hit the tub. I went straight down and smacked. Had I been alone, I think it could have ended much worse. But
yes,
when I fell, my husband and daughter came running. They heard me. It was
yes,
a big bang.
yeah.
I'm a big girl, so it was a big bang.
Mhm,
And so then I posted that because I thought
mhm.
I didn't do it for pity. I did it for, this is a reality of
Yeah.
what everybody who looks great on a daily
Mhm,
basis or says, oh God, you're looking well,
mhm,
like, things must be working for you.
mhm.
No, they're not working, because
Yeah,
all of a sudden you're all doing okay. And then
yeah.
boom, you fall. And I have fallen, this year I fell, and busted my knee.
Oh,
And
oh,
so, again, I posted about that as
yeah,
well, 'cause we fall.
yeah.
And if everybody looks like they're running a marathon, and I'm not, don't get me wrong, I love to see people that
Mhm,
are doing so well.
yeah.
But I also know that sometimes that makes people that aren't doing as well feel a little inadequate, or that they're not doing, like maybe I should be doing more. Maybe, if they say I can work through the pain or work through the tiredness, when I'm exhausted, the only thing I can work through is my bed and I have to lie down. Like I can't work through anything. And fatigue is really hard for me
Mhm.
because I seem to suffer it a great deal, even with any medication I've been on. The fatigue, and then I go from fatigue to not being able to sleep at all.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
so,
I feel you, Donalda. I'm exactly the same. And I'm like, I'm exhausted. Why am I laying here at 2 o'clock in the morning wide awake? I'm
yeah,
like, then the next day you're done. You can't do anything. You're sleeping all day. And then it's like you're a cat. Sleep all
yeah,
day, you're awake all night, and your schedule's all messed up.
yeah. That's one of my very frustrating things, is that I always wake up more tired than when I go to bed.
Mhm.
And I look for excuses to go to bed. I was never a napper.
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, I nap every day now,
Mhm.
and please don't bother me. Like, I
Yeah.
don't care unless the house is burning down.
Mhm. a
Don't
hundred
bother. I won't
percent.
even let the cat in my bedroom when I go to nap, because she crawls over me. So I
Yeah.
lock her out. She
Yeah.
doesn't like it,
No.
but I lock her out.
Mhm. And that's understandable too. What would you say that, I don't think I've already answered it, your biggest challenge is in bringing awareness to MS?
Well, COVID really quashed a lot of
Yeah.
our efforts.
Hmm.
But I try and bring awareness to MS on a daily basis.
Hmm.
I think the more people that know about it, the more people can maybe understand,
Yeah.
or realize that it's not an easy thing to live with. And
Hmm.
and I have often heard people say, "Well, it could be so much worse." I don't like that, and I always say to myself, don't take away from your own feelings
Hmm.
because your mother said, well, so and so is so much worse off than you.
Hmm.
That's not a fair statement, and people use it. And one of the things, if I could pass any type of wisdom or encouragement on to anybody, is that you're not alone. There are people out there living with this disease.
Hmm.
Some people are living really their best lives. Some people are struggling to get day by day through.
Hmm.
Sorry, that was really muddled, but it's true. So, what I would like for people to know is that there are people out here that have MS that are great support. And the
Hmm.
one thing that MS has given me is a wonderful bunch of people that are so supportive and so understanding, that it makes it easy, because if I'm having a rough day, I can contact any one of those people,
Yep.
because they've now become family and friends,
Hmm.
and say, I'm having a rough day,
Hmm.
and they understand.
Yeah.
It's not I'm
Yeah.
having a rough day and I got to go to the grocery store and then I'm going to run a 5K. That's not my rough day.
No.
My rough day is I didn't brush my teeth because it
Yeah.
took too much energy.
Yeah. Yep. And
And so those are
sorry,
the
go ahead.
things, Yeah, those are the things that a lot of people don't know
Mhm.
and they don't see. And I think we don't really want them to see everything. I think there's a bit of privacy there that we can have.
Mhm.
But on the big things, like when I fall, I put those out there
Mhm.
because I really want people to know that this is not, a walk in the park for
Mhm.
anybody. And knowing that you're not alone is very comforting. And I was not a support group person.
Mhm.
The first time I went, I thought, I'm not going back.
Mhm.
And then my husband, who you have
Mhm.
met,
Mhm.
said, I think you should go back. I think
Yep.
you have more to give than what you're
Mhm.
giving yourself, and you need to do this.
Mhm.
So he went with me.
Mhm.
And then of course he dropped me after I started going by myself. But but the first few meetings he did go with me, just
Mhm.
to say, really more to push me in that direction.
Yeah.
And like I said, um, I really had never thought of it. And
Mhm.
then when the coordinator for the group was leaving, an opening came up,
Mhm.
and I thought I could probably do this. And I found I really enjoyed doing it,
Yep.
and I was pretty good at it.
Yeah.
And so it's been, I don't know, 5 or 6 years now
Mhm.
that I've been doing it. I do wish that others, if they want the opportunity to lead a self-help group,
Mhm.
to, step up and speak out, and I'll
Yeah.
step back and let them,
Mhm.
take a turn. I think it's
Mhm.
good for everybody. I encourage everybody to do sort of what I'm doing. You don't have to
Yeah.
volunteer the way I do, but to
Yeah.
participate in meetings. And even if you come to the meeting and you
Yeah.
don't say anything but your
Mhm.
name, that first step is always the hardest.
Yes.
And I am
100%.
so proud of people that make that first
Mhm.
step. I felt like I was pushed out the door on the first step, but
Mhm.
that's what had to do
Yeah.
for me to make that step,
Yep.
right? I had to be pushed.
Yep.
Yeah.
What would you tell someone today that was diagnosed?
I don't know. There's so many things you want to tell them.
Right.
Really, you do. If they were a hugger, I'd give them a hug because I'm
Mhm.
a hug. And I'd say, you're not alone. Here's my card.
Mhm.
Call me. Here's the 1-800 number for the Knowledge Network.
Mhm.
They know everything.
Mhm.
Um, and I would encourage them to reach out that way. Internet searches are great.
Mhm.
Try and stick with, reputable kind of things like the US MS Society or the
Yeah.
Canadian MS Society, because in some, the internet is wild and woolly, full of
Yes.
all kinds of stuff that I can cure you. And that's one thing that drives me absolutely nuts,
Mhm.
is that, well, my sister's brother's cousin's husband's wife's son had MS, and all he had to do was eat green vegetables for 2 years, and he's cured. And
Mhm.
people do that, and they don't realize that that's so hurtful to somebody. Like, if you only, I remember when I first got sick, and I say sick because I was sick at the very beginning because I couldn't really walk.
Mhm.
And my sister, not understanding
Mhm.
what it was going on, she said, get up and move. Like, if you're so tired, all you need to do is get up and move.
Mhm.
Like, get up and go for a walk. And I'm like, I couldn't walk across the floor,
Mhm.
let alone, but she didn't understand.
Yeah.
And so, and I think when people give you that advice, maybe they don't understand, or maybe they're well intentioned. But if
Yeah.
you only eat like a non-dairy, non-gluten, non-fat, non-whatever diet, your gut health will improve, and so your overall health will improve. We all know that exercise helps you live a better life.
Yes.
We also know that eating well helps you live a better life. All of those things are great and wonderful.
Mhm.
But if you're so tired you can't brush your teeth, are you going to cook vegetables and make this big salad? No. If it's microwavable, yeah. If it's toast, yeah,
Mhm.
maybe. So what people don't seem to understand is that if you could do more, you would do more.
Mhm.
And the reason that you don't, and I say this to my husband all the time, he'll be cleaning up,
Mhm.
and I tell him, I can't help you.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I can't help you. And then when I do help him, and he goes, well, you don't have to. And I said, this is the thing. When I can help you,
Yeah.
I want to, and I do.
Mhm.
So that when I can't help you and I say, I'm sorry, hon, I can't help
Yeah.
you, you know that I'm telling you that God's honest truth. And he
Right.
does. And so it's good. It's great if you have a support system
Mhm.
at home. I'm very, very
Mhm.
fortunate, and I know that. that I have a very supportive partner and family, but I also have an awful lot of MS friends that are so supportive that you feel like you're in a big hug all the time. So if I could recommend anything to anybody newly diagnosed or diagnosed and has never stepped foot into the Zoom world or the self-help groups world, do it. It will change how you feel. You will feel supported. You will feel that there are people out there just like you struggling. And you might say, you know, well, I don't really like sharing my feelings. You don't have to.
Right.
You could just come and listen.
Right.
Right. And you can listen for years or months or weeks. And then if you want to participate, you can.
Yeah.
And don't be scared. Nobody's, you know, we're all on the same page.
Yeah, exactly.
I would recommend to anybody, and I'm really proud of people that when they get diagnosed and then the next thing they do is, you know, show up at something. We had some lady that just showed up at one of our very last breakfasts we had before COVID shut us down, and she had only been diagnosed like this winter.
Yeah.
And she was there, and I was like, I'm so proud of you. And she said, why? And I said, because I couldn't have done it.
No.
I was years before I could make that step to join people for lunch and not knowing anybody. And I thought, wow, you got guts, because I couldn't do it. I couldn't sit there and especially looking at people that you don't know yet. And you know how, and we all sort of do it, like try and give you the information that you need and but not to scare you off, because sometimes for me information overload is bad.
In one word, can you tell me, what does MS mean to you?
I always say MS isn't terminal, but it does take your life away. And you need to figure out how to live with it and manage your symptoms. Someone gave me a piece of advice many, many years ago, and it was manage your expectations. It's a really good piece of advice, is to try and manage your expectations, because you have to realize that you do have a debilitating disease, and you are going to have days where you're vacuuming and all of a sudden somebody trips the cord and you're done. That's how I often describe my MS, is that I'm doing really great, and then somebody pulls the cord on my vacuum cleaner and I'm done. Like I've got to lie down or fall down. And so when I say manage your expectations, it's getting to know that what your MS normal is. And we all say we have an MS normal. We all push that normal sometimes because it's worth it. Like I had a day with my grandson a couple of weeks ago. We had a great day. We were at a duck pond. 2 days, I couldn't get out of bed afterwards, but I wanted that day. And so I pushed through my tiredness. I pushed through everything that I was feeling, but then I paid for it, but it was worth the payment. So, and that's the other thing that I would want to say to people just diagnosed. Watch what you're taking for your drugs, because doctors sometimes and nurse practitioners, they just want to make you feel better. And you have to be able to function and live. And so decide yourself what's best for you, whether that's treatment or some sort of treatment, whatever you decide. And that's okay, whether you want to take disease modifying drugs or not. That it's a totally up to you decision. But just be careful that sometimes especially when you're diagnosed with something like this, sometimes they tend to, like, I think my family doctor just kind of like threw everything at me just to see if she could keep me from going over the edge. And so I don't know if that contributed to it or not, but when I kind of came out of my fog, I got rid of a lot of those heavier drugs, which I think were causing part of my issue. So so be careful when choosing what you need, and ask other people that have MS. It's the only way to find out. And not everything works for everybody, because there was an analogy that they always say that it's a snowflake disease. And then I heard this other analogy from a doctor in Newfoundland, and he said, it's like a big iceberg. You only see the top, the pretty stuff, right? The glamour. And underneath is where all the trouble begins. And 100%. So I thought, that's us. We're like icebergs.
Yes, we are.
Everyone is different. She's there for a lifetime.
Yeah.
So I like that analogy.
That's
And so
right.
if I could say anything to your followers, reach out,
Mhm.
ask questions. No one's going to think you're, a lot of say, stupid or have this
Mhm.
that stupid questions. There are no stupid questions.
Yeah.
There are a lot of stupid answers.
Yes.
But ask the right people the
Mhm.
right questions, and just remember you're not alone. Really, as well, that we tend not to talk about a lot is that not everybody's significant others or family and friends
Mhm.
can understand
Right.
what we're dealing with.
Right.
And it is so hard to explain
Mhm.
to someone, especially when they look at you and they think, wow, you look great.
Mhm.
Really? But I think that's one of the harder
Yeah.
things to, and you hear it often that,
Mhm.
my parents don't understand, or my
Yeah.
mother, or my
Yeah.
sister, or my
Yeah.
friends. And it's just, it's hard. It's a hard disease for people to understand,
Yeah.
because we sometimes still struggle and understand it. Yeah. And I think that's kind of the reality where
Mhm.
my awareness comes from. I want people to stop looking at people and
Yeah.
judging just from the way that you look,
Right.
that you're doing well or you're
Mhm.
not doing well or
Yeah.
whatever.
So thank you so
Well,
much.
no, thank you. I certainly enjoyed it. I hope
Um,
you got enough out of
oh,
it to
that was
do everything.
amazing. You made it easy for me. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you really enjoyed the interview. I'll see you next time. Bye.